Alright, we're going to start our video here with our diver Ben Gilkerson. Now, he's starting out on the downstream intake. Right here coming into view, this is the actual intake on the downstream side of the T. Now, visibility is a minimum. We're only about 18 inches of viz. The other thing to keep in mind here is that the current is really rocking and rolling. But what you're looking at right here is part of our H brace. It's basically just a fence post that's been driven down on top of the cement pad, so it's down about 3.5 feet. Here we're looking at one of the bands that holds this intake in place. It keeps it from rising too high or moving too far downriver, putting too much pressure on the pipe. Now that we have a view of the downstream side of the intake on the bottom, you can see there's still some gravel left in. We did have a diver go down that picked the rest of that back out of there. And here he's just giving you a little view of the bottom. Very difficult to make out. Also does not show the current. The current here was between 5.5 and 6 miles per hour. Maximum operating current for a diver 7, so this location's right on the edge of the envelope. Makes everything very difficult. Now he's going to make his way around the intake to the, we'll call it away from shore side, where he'll make his way upstream and try to give you a view of the intake screen the whole way through. Now this micro mesh, while in some places had some slight indentations, it survived the coverage of all the sand and sediment quite well. The intakes are still in good shape. Now here on the upstream side, the camera is just rested against a cone. This is a cone that helps kind of break that current as it comes down and moves over that intake. Alright, here's a view looking down inside of the intake on the upstream side of the T. If you listen real close, you can hear the top side talking down to the diver and the diver talking back. Now it may look like he's real shaky. What that is, that is the current. Makes it very hard for him to stay in one place, let alone hold a little camera and shoot visibility. He's up close. Now here's the bottom. You can see you've got movement on the bottom. You've got sediment that is moving. Also, this cone, along with the intake, there were no areas of damage. All the bolts and the metal and everything is still in very good condition. Now we have a detailed drawing that's going to accompany this video, where that will give you a real good idea of exactly how deep it is to wear on those screens. Now here we are, we're on the first cement collar going away from the intake towards shore. So coming from shore out to the intake, this is the last cement collar. Here's the bottom. You can see that it consists of sand, sediment, pebbles, and small flat stones. Now here's the pipe, this HDPE, 24-inch. I think the outside diameter on it was 25.7 inches. What the diver is going to do here is just make his way down this pipe, showing you that it in fact has clearance at the bottom and along the top. I'll also give you a shot of each one of the H stands. And those H stands are basically just a brace that holds the pipe and the intake up off of the bottom. And then the bands hold the pipe and the intake down to the bottom. So between the two, it's captured and held in place. Here's one of our first bands. Now, there were originally 3 bands. We cut each one with an underwater cutting torch. Not so much of as a nick was put on the HDPE pipe during this operation. And right in front of you now is part of the old band where you could see 2 bolts in it. And what we did is we used the cutting torch once it was cut to punch 2 holes through and connect a 3-foot extension. That way, as we lifted it, we minimized the risk of lifting this pipe too high because the bands would capture it. Here's again one of our braces to hold it up off the bottom. Basically, it's a 4x4 post wired between 2 fence posts. Here's another band coming up, and this one's right on the flange. If you see in front of you here, there's bolts. Those bolts they have some corrosion on them. If this flange needs to be removed for an extension or a different intake system, whatever the case may be, we have plenty of options available to get these bolts undone. There we are, we're back on the downstream side. Diver's just going to make his way upstream on the intake, and we'll move on to the upstream intake. So this concludes our downstream video inspection.